I'm calling out Mario Rios because I think that Sage Northcutt has the best physique in MMA. I think this is the new guy.
When a bodybuilder acts like he wants to fight, that's all fun and games. But when someone questions the aesthetic legacy of Leon Edwards, that's when I get mad. This video popped up on my YouTube recommendations and Lucas Tracy knew exactly what he was doing. He put a great picture of Leon Edwards right in the middle of the thumbnail, so I had to click on it. And to my shock, he called me out in this video. So I'm gonna be reacting to his video rating UFC physiques, and I'll give you guys my top 5 UFC aesthetic physiques at the end of the video. This is a great video topic because I believe that fighters have the best physiques in the entire world. They have a functional, athletic, muscular build that's super aesthetic. It's the moderate muscularity combined with functional muscle and the fact they have to get super lean for their sport that makes it superior. So this video is gonna be pretty fun, especially because I have an excuse to rate this physique. If you're into combat sports, even like functional fitness, go drop him a sub, especially because he's a fan of athletic bodybuilding.
So shout out to Mario Rios, one of the best fitness content creators right now. And hey, man, I gotta say, when I was posting a lot in the fitness industry, I was like, bro, bodybuilding is cringe. It ain't about fitness. Like, these guys look puffed up. They don't even look good. They're not even healthy. Like, what the fuck is this? The fitness industry is such a scam. It's not actually, I'm completely on board with what you're trying to do in the fitness industry, man.
Before reacting to his video, I'm gonna list 3 UFC physiques that he didn't mention in his video that I believe are very aesthetic. It's like Lucas Tracy forgot that the champion has a name and his name is Charles from the Bronx Oliveira. I mean, look at this picture of his back. Like, damn. Charles Oliveira is a very big 155 pounder, which explains why he gets super lean for his fights. He even gets chest veins, which is the rarest form of vascularity. When he was a lot younger, near his 20s, he was also fighting at the same weight class, which is 155, but he was way less muscular. I have a video where I explain how and why athletic bodybuilding will improve your MMA performance. Adding functional muscle will improve your performance in mixed martial arts, which explains why Charles Oliveira is a champion. And adding functional muscle will improve your aesthetics, which explains why Charles Oliveira is very aesthetic. The abs are in nice shape, he's got long arms and legs, which gives him that good athletic aesthetic build. In my opinion, it's that long, lanky build that really makes someone aesthetic. The build isn't necessarily designed to put on muscle mass, which is what creates that athletic aesthetic look. Anatomical traits that define this are skinny or small wrist, ankles, and waist. This would be considered bad bodybuilding genetics because putting muscle on this kind of frame is a lot harder. But when you do add muscle to this frame, that's what creates the most aesthetic physique, aka Leon Edwards. Charles Oliveira has a great back, but his new lion tattoo on his back kind of ruins it because you can't see the definition and muscularity. When he didn't have that crazy lion tattoo, you could see that his back is really good. I'm actually a very big fan of his tattoos. If I was ever gonna get a tattoo, it'd be one across my chest like he does, but I've never really seriously considered it because it's just too big of a decision. When I was at my leanest, I had a nice upper chest and lean chest, which I don't want to give up by putting ink on it. Charles Oliveira does have a huge problem in his physique, and it's literally zero quad development. However, the shorts he wears, the BJJ ones with like the flappy part, really does a good job at hiding bad leg development in fighters. Those baggy BJJ shorts are the reason John Jones, prime John Jones, has an aesthetic physique. John Jones somehow one-ups Charles Oliveira with even smaller quads, which is pretty crazy because John Jones squats a ton of weight, yet his legs just won't grow. We need to learn from Charles Oliveira and John Jones. If you want to skip leg day, go to the gym with those baggy BJJ shorts. I don't know, maybe I'll make some when I launch a clothing brand, who knows. John Jones has a relatively small waist, great lats, and even a great upper chest. It's his length that really gives him that aesthetic bump. I'm telling you guys, that long, lanky build that isn't meant to put on muscle, when you do it, it's gonna look super aesthetic. However, don't get discouraged if you're not built like that. If you're not built long and lengthy, you're gonna have a lot easier of a time putting on muscle mass. And you can still build an athletic, aesthetic look, it just looks a little bit different. Examples being George St. Pierre and Michael Chandler. They have that stocky athlete build that still looks pretty good. Finishing off the Forgotten Fighters with Jared Cannonier. He has a similar build to Oliveira and Jones, but he has way better legs. Jared Cannonier has lower calf insertions, which kind of ruin his athletic look on his legs, but his developed quads definitely do make up for this. His chest and shoulders are almost picture perfect. I actually didn't realize until making this video, but goddamn, his chest and arms are super crazy. This is the guy that can compete with Leon Edwards. Arms and chest aren't too big, but tight and toned. Arms have awesome vascularity. Only problem with Cannonier is the calf insertions, and he does have a bloated stomach from time to time. Might be a result of PEDs, but that's not the topic of the video. I don't know how Jared Cannonier wasn't mentioned because in terms of arms and chest, he has to be number one. Now it's time to analyze Lucas Tracy's video. If I disagree with them, I don't know, I'll just call him like a lazy bodybuilder or something.
The first guy that we are going to look at is Jilton Almeida, and in my opinion, I think that this guy is the most impressive physique on the roster. Maybe not the best, but the reason why I say that this guy, I mean, just look at him. He's shredded to the bone. He has chest striations. He is a heavyweight. I mean, this is a photo of him at weigh-ins when he was competing in the light heavyweight division.
This guy rated Jilton Almeida as the #1 heavyweight for physiques. I mean, this is just so dumb. Are you telling me that he's more aesthetic than Tai Tuivasa, Chris Dawkins, Derek the Black Beast Lewis? In all seriousness, Jilton Almeida has an insane physique. To have that kind of a waist at heavyweight is just nuts. I think he was more aesthetic as a light heavyweight, but it really doesn't matter with this guy. He's lean regardless. He makes Cyril Gahn look like a bulky, unaesthetic bodybuilder. Jilton Almeida is near the top for most aesthetic fighters. Lucas Tracy started off with a banger. However, the next two fighters he mentioned, in my opinion, are not aesthetic.
Marlon Moraes. When it comes to the midsection, this guy has the most cartoonish midsection I've ever seen. I'm talking about his abs. It's something that's straight out of a comic book. Dan Hooker, another guy with a really underrated physique. This dude's triceps are insane.
Of course, compared to the general public, Dan Hooker and Marlon Moraes are both aesthetic. But fighters' physiques are top tier and they just don't compete. A common theme of this video is that these fighters have cartoonish features, but in my opinion, these cartoonish features just make the person look a little bit more blocky. Marlon Moraes has two perfect abs. It reminds me of a girl with plastic surgery. Sure, it still looks pretty good and I'd bang her, but there's something that puts me off with someone being that perfect. I definitely prefer the more natural look for sure. Marlon Moraes' abs are the same way, and his short arms definitely don't help either. And then we go to Dan Hooker, who has great arms, but that's about it. The issue here is that his arms are so unproportional to the rest of his body. Watch Dan Hooker fight and you kind of analyze his physique, you'll be like, that guy kind of looks off for some reason. And that's because his arms are unproportional to the rest of his body. That's all I gotta say about Dan Hooker.
Guram Kutateladze has never had a carb in his life and has probably never had a snack, and that's why he looks miserable in this photo, but this is the most shredded UFC fighter that ever walked the planet.
Guram Kutateladze reminds me of Tristan Lee. So lean that it's not aesthetic. Everything in life has a line. You can have a fat ass, but if it's too fat, get the hell away from me. Bodybuilders are the fat ass of the fitness industry. That had nothing to do with Guram, but I had to say it. My guy needs to add a little bit of size, which will give him some beneficial muscle for aesthetics.
Luke Rockhold, we are going to be bumping up to the middleweight division. I think that Luke Rockhold, I think he's got one of the best physiques ever, man. I mean, he is 6'3". He competed at middleweight, as I said, but is probably in the cage at around 205 pounds. And the guy just has like the streamlined aesthetic look. You know what I mean?
Luke Rockhold's physique is crazy. For any of you tall, lucky guys, this is a physique you should keep an eye on. Very shredded, proportions are on point, but the only thing that lets him down is an average waist. Not big, but not small. Average.
Like Paulo Costa. This is a bodybuilder-esque physique. In MMA, he has T-Rex arms, a little bit stubby.
I'm gonna be really quick with Paulo Costa. His arms are too short. It literally ruins his physique, makes him look like a big, bulky bodybuilder.
Now here is, in my opinion, this is the best physique in the not in the UFC, I'm sorry. He used to be in the UFC. Sage Northcutt, that's who we're talking about, is now in ONE FC. I think that Sage Northcutt has the best physique maybe on the planet, the most impressive physique in my opinion. That's right, I'm calling out Mario Rios because I think that Sage Northcutt has the best physique in MMA. I think this is the new guy. He looks like he's from a comic book. These are cartoonish proportions.
Lucas Tracy's the reason that Sage Northcutt's name has entered the fitness industry. He has a great physique, don't get me wrong, but this is a video about fighters' physiques, so we have to be critical. Arms are a little short. If he had longer arms, he'd be able to compete with Jared Cannonier in that department. And let's go back to the cartoonist features. Makes you look a little too perfect. Reminds me of a plastic surgery chick.
Look at this guy, bro. Diced. He's got like fucking peaks for biceps, mountain peaks.
He definitely takes the cake with his biceps. He has crazy peaks. He does have a small waist, but when you put him next to Leon Edwards makes him look like a bulky bodybuilder. What defines an aesthetic physique is that lean, athletic V-taper, and because of Leon Edwards' waist and back, it's very hard to compete. This pic, he just looks bad, bro. Just your classic roided up meathead here. When he has an athlete build, he definitely has a top physique though. Definitely near the top of the list.
I started watching MMA. Yoel Romero became one of my favorite fighters in part due to the fact that he's fucking jacked. He is a middleweight, 5'10", probably weighs around 205 pounds in the cage.
Yoel Romero, for a huge guy, has a great waist. His physique is ruined by a small neck though, gives him a turtle look. But he's so muscular and almost but doesn't cross the line of being too muscular to where he has that bodybuilder look. Here's Romero at 185 versus Sage Northcutt at 185. Yoel Romero's definitely right with him.
Michael Chandler, another guy that is extremely explosive. I mean, this is one of the most explosive fighters in the UFC. He's fighting Conor next. But here he is, Michael Chandler. One of the reasons why I'm picking him to beat Conor is because just look at the guy.
Michael Chandler does have a decent body, but the only pictures that Lucas Tracy showed is when he has water drained out of him. When you actually see him in the cage, when he isn't water drained, he has crazy bloat. Not near the top 5, unfortunately.
And here we have Aljamain Sterling, the bantamweight champion, who's also got an insane physique, shredded to the gills, separation everywhere. There's literally like no body fat on this man in this picture. And he's 5'7", again, bantamweight champion that we're talking about.
Aljamain Sterling has the best shredded physique in the UFC. He gets to a point where he's so shredded, but it still looks really good. Crazy definition everywhere. He has a legendary chest vein that's super rare that just puts the cherry on top of his physique. Abs are crazy, top tier abs for a fighter. Just lacks a little bit of size in his arms though.
And here he is with some random guy, Leon Edwards, I think his name is. Wait a second, that is the welterweight champ Leon Edwards, who may just be the owner of the best physique in the UFC, the welterweight champ himself.
Lucas Tracy, I love the energy. Leon Edwards has the most aesthetic physique in the UFC. Leon Edwards' cage weight is a little over 190. In a video with his nutritionist, it kind of confirmed this. Why do I know this? I don't know. Leon Edwards' waist literally makes his physique so aesthetic. The Leon Edwards' waist is so small, it makes every fighter on the UFC roster look blocky as hell. His waist literally makes his back, which is already sick, look absolutely nuts. Shout out to Lucas Tracy for finding this pic. I'll be using this one in future videos. Thank you very much. The waist-back combo with Leon Edwards is literally unmatched. Nobody comes close. And in terms of legs, he has great leg size and sensational leg definition. His calves insert high, really finalizing the athletic, lean build that he had. Now it's time to rank the top 5 UFC fighter physiques. This was really close, so I had to give 3 honorable mentions. First, Charles Oliveira. Has a crazy back, great leanness, even has a chest vein, definitely top tier. And the next 2 kind of group in together, which is Sage Northcutt and Luke Rockhold. Both Luke Rockhold and Sage Northcutt are crazy. I give Sage Northcutt the edge over Luke Rockhold because of his arms. Northcutt also has a very roided up look. I don't know how consistent that is, but I also downplays in his physique. But Rockhold and Northcutt both lose points because their backs are nothing to write home about. They have good definition in their back, but in terms of like a normal standing posture, their lats aren't that terrific. Ranking at number 5, Aljamain Sterling. He's just so shredded and he still looks super good. The only problem with Aljamain Sterling is the lack of size he has, which actually says a lot because he's a big guy for the 135-pound division. Great physique. Aljamain Sterling, number 5. 4, Yoel Romero. Just needs a little bit of a longer neck, but he has that fine line of being really muscular but not looking like a bodybuilder. 3, Jailton Almeida. He's so big, but he still has a very small waist. Crazy definition everywhere. If you look like this as a heavyweight, you gotta be in the top 3. And the top 2 are levels. I'm talking about levels over everybody else. Number 2, Jared Cannonier. His arms and chest are absolutely terrific. If you want aesthetic arms and chest with an athletic look up to this guy. Size is on point, definition is on point, vascularity is also on point. The only problem with Jared Cannonier that doesn't put him at number 1 is the occasional bloat and his lower calf insertions. And number 1 is the most aesthetic physique in the solar system, Leon Edwards. He has 1 in a billion, maybe even 1 in 7 billion genetics for his waist. And there's no one who can compete with that. This is why Madison Beer wants to be with him. Dana White says he has the best physique, and Harvard determined that scientifically Leon Edwards has the most aesthetic physique. And out of all the physiques I mentioned, he is pound for pound the best fighter out of all of them anyways. Leon Edwards is him. He's the most aesthetic and the best fighter. If you want to look aesthetic and be a good fighter as well, check out this MMA weight training guide that I developed.